Okay, good evening, everyone from Blazie Technologies, and welcome again to our February webinar. I'm Stephen Blazie, and tonight I'm joined by David Goldfield and Ben Blatchford, and we'll be discussing the forthcoming software update for BT Speak and BT Braille for the month of February. Sooner than you might expect. In fact, the update is slated to be released just after our webinar concludes tonight. And tonight we'll be demonstrating several new features in that update I think you're really going to like, especially among them are highly requested updates to the radio tuner, which is, of course, one of our favorite apps on BT Speak among the customers. And again, we expect that update to launch very shortly, sometime later this evening following the webinar. And so I'm going to let David jump in and tell you all about what's in that update.
Hey, thank you so much, Stephen, and welcome everybody to our webinar. So, as Stephen said, we're going to talk to you in detail about what is coming up in the very soon to be released February update for BT Speak. So, first, let me remind people that this update is available if your BT Speak is under a warranty or a maintenance contract. So when you first buy a BT Speak, you get a 90-day warranty that gives you a few benefits, not the least of which is that whenever we release an update, that update becomes available to you. And if your unit is then out of warranty, you have the option of purchasing a maintenance contract, which is either $200 if you want to pay for it on an annual basis, or the annual contract can be paid for monthly in installments of $20 a month. So you have to have either a warranty or a maintenance contract in order to receive this upcoming update with the features that we're going to be talking to you about and showing to you. So if your BT Speak is not under warranty, or if you're not sure if you're under warranty or what your maintenance contract status is, you can give us a call during the day and call us at 772-214-1616, and we'll look that up for you in the database. And if you're not under a service contract and you'd like to purchase one, you can do that online by going to our website at blazietech.com, BLAZIETECH.com. Go to the link that says shop, and you will then be able to purchase the contract and pay for it either annually or in monthly installments for the year. Or we can take the order from you over the phone if you want to do that. Okay, so when the update is released, your BT Speak will first of all let you know. It'll say a new update is available, and if you want to check that, you can go to the options menu, then press M for BT Speak management, and then U to check for updates. If there is a new update, which, as Stephen said, there will be shortly after tonight's webinar, it'll say a new update is available. Do you want to install it? You'll probably want to press Y for yes, as long as you're on Wi-Fi, and it'll download and install. Your BT Speak will then restart, and you've got the update. So, what's in the update, and why would I want it? Well, there's several things. One of the things that we added, which I'm not going to demonstrate tonight, but I'll just briefly mention it, is something called the Tech Support Gateway. And basically what that allows you to do, if there is a problem with your machine that you're having trouble resolving, is you can call our support team and we will be able to remotely connect to your BT Speak and help you fix what is wrong with it. This has to be initiated, by the way, with a phone call, so you can't just run it and then, we just magically appear. It doesn't work that way. So you have to call us and we'll walk you through the process of enabling that channel or that service. And it only happens with your consent. We can't enable it remotely on our own. You have to consent to it, you have to initiate it, and you can also disconnect from us at any time. So there's no way that we're going to be able to jump onto your machine remotely without your knowledge or without your permission. I'm sure most of you guys already knew that, but it's worth pointing that out. So that will be available starting in the February update. Okay, and we added a lot of updates to the radio tuner. Now, there were some things that needed to happen with the radio tuner, which I think now has happened. So a few things have gone on. First, we'll just get this part out of the way. At some point, the ACB Media streams broke. So you would try to play an ACB Media stream, and you wouldn't hear any errors, but you would just hear silence. Well, we finally fixed that, so all 10 of the ACB Media streams are now working. And you can listen to any of them that you want. There was also an even more serious issue with the station database. So what that means is we're leveraging a service called Radio Browser, and they have a database of around 50,000 radio stations. And that database was fine. As far as I know, it was always available, and there was nothing wrong with it. Except somehow it broke on certain BT Speak updates very recently. And what we found out was if you tried to refresh the database, it would erase most of the stations that were in there. So you had far less than 50,000 stations, and a lot of stations that you used to be able to listen to weren't even listed. It wasn't good, and it wasn't acceptable, and we didn't like it. And so we fixed it. So now, if you refresh the database, it will refresh properly, and it will reload all of the new stations and all of the stations that had previously gotten removed. We're very sorry about that. We only became aware of that problem recently, and then when people started reporting it, we were able to verify it. And again, we're really sorry about that. It's not the experience we wanted, not the experience that we wanted you to have, but it's fixed. Along those lines, we are now, anybody is allowed to add new stations to the Radio Browser database. There was a period of time last year when nobody could add new stations. This was not our fault. We had no control over it. It was the database itself that had to stop allowing it for a while. As far as we can tell, that limitation has been lifted. So now when you do a refresh, that basically means you're saying to the database, hey, if there are any new stations since the last time I did this, add those to the database so I'll have the list of all of the stations that I can access. So what we think will happen is that number should continue to go up now. It's definitely past 50,000 stations, but I'm sure you're going to find that the number will go up. Now, we made some changes to what happens when you do a refresh. First, we improved the process of refreshing the database. So, if there is a failure, and we don't anticipate it, but if there is, it will tell you this time. So there won't be any ambiguity about it, and you won't have to figure it out later that, oh, some of my stations are gone, because it'll let you know if there's a problem. The other thing it does is it will actually report the amount of radio stations total that you have, which we never used to do. So that will give you a very good idea of whether the refresh is successful or not. I'm actually going to do that while we are on this call. So I have a BT Speak here, and I'll walk you through the process of how we do that. I'm going to press O chord.
Options menu, open.
It said Options menu. We'll go to Applications.
Applications menu, open.
I did that by pressing A. We'll press M for Media.
Media Applications menu, open.
I'll press R for Radio.
Radio Tuner menu, open.
Now, I'm going to press R again for Refresh.
Refresh the station data, refreshing the local station database.
Okay. Now, as usual, the unit, you probably can't hear this, but it's doing its little vibration dance once a second as it's refreshing. It used to be that afterward it would say something like, the database has been refreshed. And that's all well and good. But now we'll give you a total of how many stations in total there are available for you to listen to. And we should hear that pretty shortly. It's still doing the once a second vibration, but I think it will be done pretty quickly, and we'll see what happens.
$50,388 stations loaded.
Okay, cool. It said 50,388 stations loaded. By the way, when I did this before, just a little bit ago to test it, I think it said 50,386, which means that just in the past couple of hours, 2 more stations were added. And as I say, I think that number is going to really start increasing now that we are allowing, well, it's not us, now that the database is allowing people to add stations. By the way, before I press enter to dismiss that message, if you missed that number and you want to hear it again, we can read the current line.
50,388 stations loaded.
Okay, so now I know that I have a total of 50,388 stations. I'm going to press enter to dismiss that.
Refresh the station database. Takes a while. R.
Okay, I'm pointing to the refresh option. Obviously, I'm not going to press enter to refresh it again, because that would be kind of silly at this point. But you can now safely refresh the database. And in fact, for those who will be updating their BT Speak for the latest update, the update itself does not add all of the stations back. So when you update, and the update, then you'll hear the message that the update has been successful. Your BT Speak will restart. Once you restart your BT Speak, if you're a Radio Tuner user, we do recommend that you refresh the database, because if you don't, you're still going to have that very small amount of radio stations. As far as I know, we are not doing an automatic refresh. We probably could do that with the update, and I might argue that you could make an argument that we should, but at the moment I don't think that's happening. So do a database update by going to Options, Applications, Media, Radio, Tuner, and then R again for refresh. Okay, so now we've got all the stations that were previously there, plus whichever ones are added. So I can go to listen and type in a partial name of a radio station, which is great. And I can listen to whatever I want. There is yet another feature that we have added, and this is very new. And this is something that we've had several requests for, and that is the ability to record a stream. So we can, once we start playing a station, we can record it. I'm going to demo that for you. So what I'm going to do is I've got a station in my favorites that I'm going to get to because it's just a quick way of getting there.
Favorite radio stations, open.
And I pressed F from the radio tuner menu to get to that. And I should have one station in my favorites that I want to play for the purposes of doing a brief recording of that stream.
Yesterday USA Blue Network. Why?
Okay, so I've got one of the Yesterday USA radio stations in my favorites. For those of you who are not familiar with it, it's one of the stations that plays old-time radio. And like many people, I'm a fan of both old-time radio and modern audio drama as well. And there are a lot of stations actually in this database that do nothing but play old-time radio shows 24/7. So you can listen to OTR whenever you have a desire to do that. So Yesterday USA is one of the stations that plays that. Now, I'm going to press enter to start the stream. And then when I do, I'm going to be in what we call the Stream Actions menu. And that has a lot of different options for the volume and adding to favorites and removing from favorites. But we have a new option in there, which is a record option with G as in golf, being the hotkey. So let's press enter to start playing the stream. Hopefully it will play for us.
Stream actions. Yes.
I guess something Ed said.
Okay.
Michael's attention, so we'll find out what Michael B. has to say.
Okay.
I can't wait for this. We've had some great...
Okay, now that's not an old radio show, but it's some interview or whatever that they're doing regarding it. Now, I'm going to turn down the media volume so that it won't distract us. Okay. There we go. So you might hear it in the background. I've turned the media volume down, but it has not turned down the BT Speak volume. So
Indent 0. Decrease the media volume.
There we go. So some of you may wonder, what command did I do to make that happen? Well, we have two global chord commands to decrease and increase the media volume. To decrease it, we can do 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 chord. It's the OF sign for those who know contracted Braille. That makes it softer. And if I press 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chord, which I'm doing repeatedly, it's making it louder. But it is not adjusting the BT Speak volume. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 chord repeatedly to lower that, but I don't want to lower the BT Speak voice. Okay, now I've got it at a good volume, and I'm going to press, let me turn it up a little bit here. I'm going to press G, and we'll start recording.
I remember
Start or stop recording. G.
when we would talk about old 78.
Starting recording.
You remember the time we
Start or stop recording.
great
G.
talk about the stuff that goes on acoustic.
Okay, now we're recording the stream, and it's only recording the stream. It's not going to record the BT Speak itself. So, for example, if I want to press ST chord with .8 to check on my battery,
100% charging.
and I can do T chord with .8 for the time,
7:23 p.m.
or D chord with .8 for the...
Tuesday, February
Date.
3rd, 2026.
None of that is getting into my recording, okay? So let's stop the recording now by pressing the letter G again.
But you could hear the thunder in the studio?
Yeah, but
Stopping recording.
I don't think it ever cropped
Start or stop recording. G.
low
Okay,
frequencies,
the stream is still going on, but the recording is stopped. I'm going to stop the stream. 1, 2, 5, 6 chord is our global command to pause and resume the stream. I'm going to do a deep escape,
Viewing welcome screen. File 1 of 1.
which I did by pressing Z chord and .7, which basically gets me out of whatever menus and submenus I was in and puts me back in the open file. So the stream is stopped, but the recording that I just made should be there. Let's find that. And I'm going to do that by going into the file browser with OChord,
Options menu. Open.
followed by F.
Listing for /home/pi.
Okay, so I'm in home pi, which is the main directory where all of our files are stored. Now, in there is a subdirectory called btspeak. So let's find that quickly.
btspeak. Directory. 1 of 7.
Okay. By the way I found that quickly without having to point to it and look for it is you can use first letter navigation in the file browser if you press the letter that you want with .7. So I pressed B with .7. It took me right to the btspeak directory. Let's press enter to open that.
Listing for /home/pi/btspeak.
Now, we have several subdirectories here, but the one that I'm interested in is one called radio recordings. If I press R with .7, it should take me, it should point me to that.
Radio recordings. Directory. 3 of 5.
Okay, so let's press enter to open the radio recordings
Listing
folder.
for /home/pi/btspeak/radio recordings.
Now, I should have the Yesterday USA audio file here.
Yesterday USA Blue Network 2026-0203 192,253.m4a. 1 of 1.
Okay, it's an M4A file. We use whatever format the stream uses. So they're using M4A. If I press enter, it should start playing for me.
You had great talk about the stuff that goes on
Yeah,
on acoustical recording.
there's the
before
recording.
record starts.
Okay,
There's
I'm not going
stuff
to
on
listen to the
after
whole
that,
thing,
and
but you'll notice
Yeah,
that all you hear
played
is
a
the
few of
recording.
those that I've never-
I pressed 1, 2, 5, 6 chord to pause that. You didn't hear the BT speak babbling while I was recording, right? All you hear is the recording from the stream, which is, I would think, what you would want. So let's just get out of here with a deep escape, Z chord
welcome
with
screen. File
.7.
1 of
Now
1.
I'm back in the welcome screen. I know that some of you may be wondering, okay, this is great, but can I record onto an external medium like a USB drive or an SD card? At the moment, you cannot, because we just implemented this, but we're hoping to allow for that as an option in a future update. However, these are regular audio recordings, so there's nothing stopping you from taking that recording and moving it to a thumb drive or your micro SD card, or for that matter, to your computer, Windows, Mac, Linux, whatever you're using, through a USB connection or through the wireless SMB protocol. You can certainly do that. Just look in your radio recordings folder. They're unprotected files. You can move them wherever you want. Okay, so that is going to be in the February update, which hopefully you'll be able to get as early as tonight. One other thing, we fixed a bug that one of our users reported, which we confirmed in the agenda calendar. If you were adding an appointment and it asks you for certain things like, okay, what's the date for the appointment or what's the time for the appointment? If you decide to do a Z chord because you want to just back out of that and forget about it, it would sometimes generate an error and get really confused. And so we found that, and that has also been fixed. Okay, so the last thing that I'm going to show you, and then I'm going to turn it over to Ben Blatchford, because he's got a demo to show you of something really cool, is you may remember that we have a Google Drive app, and you can access all of your files on Google Drive. But now one of the things we allow you to do is to open that file not only in our own editor, but in LibreOffice. So I will show you that and hope that this will work the way I think it should. Well,
Options menu. Open.
let's go to Options. I'm going to turn this up just a tad. And we will go to Applications by pressing A.
Applications menu. Open.
We will press P for Personal.
Personal applications menu. Open.
And we will press G for Google Drive.
Google Drive menu. Open.
Okay, let's move down
My Files.
to
M.
My Files on Google Drive and press Enter.
Loading Google Drive. Retrieving file list. abc.brl.
Okay, now I'm already signed in, so I don't have to go through that process. If you're doing this for the first time, you do have to enter your Google username, usually an email address of some kind, and a password. But you should only have to do that once, and as you can see, it did not ask for that because I'm already signed in. So, in here, I have a folder called Documents. Let's go to that.
Dimension X 1950-0415. Documents. Directory.
Okay. Well, now you know where my interests are. The first thing we heard is a Dimension X episode that I had on here. We're not going to focus on that. Now we're pointing to Documents. I'm going to press Enter to go
View directory
in there.
contents.
And there's a menu of options, and the first is View Directory Contents. That is what I want.
Listing for BT Speak users manual version 1.3. Docs.
Okay. So I believe I only have one file in this Documents subfolder on my Google Drive, and that is a copy of the BT Speak manual. You may have heard the Docs extension, DOCX. This was originally a Word file, but we don't need Word to read it, or for that matter, even to edit it. I'm going to press Enter on this manual.
Download BT Speak users manual version 1.3. Docs.
Now, I have some choices here. The first one that you heard was download the BT Speak manual. I could do that so that it is locally available on my BT Speak, but what I'm really interested in is the next option, which should be Open.
Open BT Speak users manual version 1.3. Docs.
Okay, I do want to open it. Now I'm going to press Enter and listen to what we hear.
This file has rich formatting. Open in LibreOffice. Default is yes.
Okay, it says this file has rich formatting because it knows that, hey, this isn't just a plain old text file. It's a Word file. It's got font changes, right? It's got headings. It's got links. It's got all kinds of stuff that goes beyond just plain text. So it says this has rich formatting. Do you want to open this in LibreOffice? Now, if I said no, it will allow me to open it up in the Blazie editor, which you could actually do. What would happen is it would turn it into it would make a text-only copy of it. That's not bad, but I'm really interested in opening it as it is in LibreOffice. So I'm going to press Y for yes.
Opening BT Speak users manual version. Desktop mode.
It's going into desktop mode. It's opening LibreOffice Writer, which is the free word processor that comes with LibreOffice. It's on every BT Speak. For that matter, it's on every BT Braille. And I should be in there. Let's just make sure.
Blank.
Okay.
File menu. New menu.
Okay, I'm there, and I should be able to access this manual.
Version 1.3 September
Yeah.
2025.
Okay, so I am now reading the BT Speak manual in LibreOffice Writer. I'm not in Google Drive anymore. I'm in Writer. Writer is a full-featured word processor that can let me do all the things that I originally did to this file in Word. I can add headings, I can add links, and I can edit the file and cut and paste and do whatever I want. But there's one other thing it can do that's really slick. So I'm just going to
Blank.
show you that. I'm going to move to the very bottom of the file, and I'm just going to write my name. Okay.
Blank.
There we go.
David.
I just wrote my first name. Now, that is not part of the actual manual, and I wouldn't really want the actual manual to be distributed with my first name signed at the bottom of the thing. You know, unless it's worth a little more. If I could get some extra money for it, I'll do it. But other than that, there's no point in doing that. But I did it for a reason. So I've made a deliberate change to this document. Now I'm going to close this. First, I'm going to save it by pressing Control S. I did that. And let's close this now.
Syncing file to Google Drive. Listing BT Speak Users Manual version 1.3. Docs.
Okay, so what's really slick, you may or may not have missed that, is I did a save, then I closed it by pressing Z chord with .7, the same command that we use for the deep escape, right? That's basically like, you know, Alt F4 in Windows, and it closes the program. But because I made a change, even though it was a very small change, it then synced that file back to Google Drive. So now the file that I have on my Google Drive has that change with my name at the bottom. So when you open a file from Google Drive into LibreOffice, you can make whatever changes you need to with this full-featured word processor. And when you close it out, it automatically, without you having to tell it, will synchronize with that original file. That is, if I may say, really slick, and I really like it. So that's really a description and a demo of most of the features that we have, but I'm going to turn it over to Ben Blatchford, who does our tech support. And Ben is going to show you a similar feature that has to do with how we can leverage LibreOffice. So Ben, if you're ready, take it away.
Hello, everyone. So, in the same spirit as the opening Google Drive option, we have a similar feature that will let you use LibreOffice to open a file in the editor. Now, the slick thing about this is that I can write in a BRL file, and I can translate that into text and open that in LibreOffice, which I'm going to demonstrate to you now. So I am going to go to the options menu with O chord. Options menu, open. And then I'm going to do F for the file browser. Listing for /home/pi. And then I'm going to do C for create and just do a test file here. Enter name. And I'm going to type in zoom.brl and press enter. Zoom is open. And now this file is open, so I can start typing. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to go to the editor menu, close that file, which saves it by pressing C for close, because that's our command to close and save. Welcome screen. And we're back in the welcome screen. Now, what we can do is we can go into the options menu by pressing O chord. Options menu. Go to the file browser with F.
Listing for /home/pod.
And I will now find that file. I will press Z with .7 because it starts with the letter Z for Zoom. So we're going to do Z with .7.
Zoom.brl.
There it is.
18 of 18.
So now what we can do is we can press L, just the letter L, and that will open the file that I'm pointing to in LibreOffice. And notice that this is a Braille file. And so what will happen is it will translate that Braille file into text. So we're going to press L here to open this in LibreOffice. And
Desktop mode.
but what happened is it's launching desktop mode, and it will open LibreOffice here in a second.
Tip of the day: 1/225 dialog. Did you know LibreOffice offers a variety of user?
So we're just gonna
show tips on starting.
I'm just pressing Alt Tab. I'm just pressing Tab. That's 4/5 chord.
Next tip. Okay.
We're gonna push OK.
Return. Zoom.txt-LibreOffice Writer Frame.
This is
a test of the LibreOffice Writer in a Braille format.
So this is our Braille file converted into text. It is now opened in LibreOffice Writer. So we can go to a new line. We can type in computer Braille here. E-E-N, I'm typing my first name, and then I can press Control W to close this. And it'll ask me, do I want to save? I can press save.
Question. This document may
And
contain content that cannot be saved in the current.
That's fine. We can save it as an OpenOffice document. Press space.
Zoom. Name colon. Text. Zoom selected.
We can go back into the Blazie mode.
This
I don't know
document.
why it's not. Yeah, let's see text format.
Desktop.
Okay. So now what we can do is we can go back into the Blazie mode, and just by doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chord, and we can go into the file browser with Alt F. And if we look, and we go into the documents folder, by to save.
Documents.
But for some reason it didn't save the changes in the LibreOffice document I created. But I mean, this is so powerful because we can have a Braille file and we can convert that into text and open it in LibreOffice and make any changes we want to make, and then save that as a text file. I will pass it over to you, David.
Thanks so much, Ben. So those are some of the features that we've, or rather, those are the features that we've added that really help you to better integrate with LibreOffice. And some of the features we've shown you are not just for text files. So you can, for example, open a spreadsheet, an XLSX file, and bring it into Calc, which is the spreadsheet program for LibreOffice. And Calc is very accessible. It's very similar to Excel in many ways for people who are used to Excel. Okay, so before we take it to questions, we actually do have one other demo of something that we added. So I'm going to kick it back to Stephen, who's going to talk about some things we've added to better vocalize paragraph indentation. Stephen, whenever you're ready, take it away.
Thank you, David. As many of you know, BT is our new application for learning and building with the Python programming language. We just released it in November. It's growing all the time, and it was designed to suit a wide audience of users. So whether you're completely new to coding and you want to learn Python from the ground up, or you're an experienced programmer who wants to work in a Braille-first environment to develop applications for your Braille computer, maybe they're personally useful to you, it's well suited for that. And whether you're following lessons and challenges in learn mode, or maybe you're working on your own project in build mode, all the magic really happens in the code editor. Of course, we're writing code in this application, and the code editor in BT Code is based on the Blazie mode text editor that most of you already know very well. And that makes it very familiar and comfortable to use. You already know the major commands to copy and paste and mark text and all of the typical functions associated with editing text. But writing code in Python isn't quite the same as writing everyday text in many ways. And one important difference there, especially in Python, is the importance of indentation. Now in Python indentation, it's not just for readability. This is how the computer language understands logical structure in your code. So for example, when you're writing something like, if this happens, then do this. This is a conditional statement in a programming language. Now Python needs to know exactly which lines belong to that condition, which would be if this happens. Then do this belongs to if this happens. And it also needs to know where that conditional logic ends. And Python does that with indentation instead of other languages that use special symbols or brackets. And so indentation plays a very special role in Python. And typically, indentation means starting a new line with four spaces. And so your conditional block would have four spaces that precede the line of text. And any lines indented under that statement are treated as part of the conditional. And then when indentation stops and goes back to the parent level indent, then Python knows that block is finished. So because indentation is so important in Python, and because it can be quite difficult to keep track of non-visual spacing in the editor, we've now added a new indentation reporting feature to the BT code editor. So this is the new feature, and it really helps you understand the structure of your code as you write it. This should make learning Python much, much easier. And even if you're already skilled in Python, it makes things much less error prone when you can track your spacing that way. I know, speaking for myself, I've of all of the Python that I've written, I still make stray spaces everywhere, and the Python interpreter screams at me, and I need to know where that stray space is located. And so while you're writing code, it's very handy to have something that reports the indentation. And this is actually a feature I really wanted to include when BT Code first launched back in November, because it's so important, but it didn't quite make that initial release. So I want to go ahead and show you an example how it works. This is a very quick example. So I'm here at the BT Code main menu.
BT Code menu.
I'm going to turn up my volume a little bit so you can hear me.
BT Code, C. BT Code menu, open.
Okay, here I am in the BT Code main menu, and I'm just going to navigate to the Learn menu.
Learn, BT Code lessons, open.
And then I'm actually going to go into the Lesson 4 challenge where this example lives. And that's just because I wrote a custom example for this demo just for purposes of showing how this feature works.
4 conditionals.
And that's
Read
in
lesson.
Lesson 4.
Challenge, make a number guessing game, instructions.
And
Coded.
I'm going to select the coded option, which is, of course, where the code editor is in Learn mode.
Code editor, make a number guessing game.
Okay, so we just heard the code editor announce code editor, make a number guessing game. We're not actually going to build a number guessing game here tonight. I've already entered in here some simple example code, again, that I've written specifically to show off this feature. So first I want to make sure that I'm at the very top of this file.
Top of file.
And yes, we are. Now I'm going to press C chord to read the first line of this file.
No indent, likes BT code equals true.
And we just heard no indent likes BT code equals true. So what's happening here is I'm assigning a variable called likes BT code to true. And the read current line function executed via C chord is also telling me that there's no indentation before reading this line of code. Now, one important thing to know about this feature is that it doesn't repeat the indentation level if the indentation level hasn't changed since the last line that was read. So what that means is, in this case, we already read this line using C chord, right? And it told us the indentation was 0. So when I press C chord again,
Likes BT code equals true.
it just reads the line, likes BT code equals true, without repeating the indentation level. Now that behavior is intentional. The feature was designed to avoid unnecessary repetition and only announce indentation when it actually changes and it actually matters. So that said, if you ever want to hear the indentation level on demand, maybe you missed it the first time, or maybe you've lost your place and want to double check, you can always use WH chord with .8 to report it at any time. And here's what that sounds like.
No indent.
It's just going to report the indentation level without reading the full line. And you can do that as many times as you want.
No indent. No indent.
And no matter where you are in the document. And actually that function works outside of the code editor too, as I'll mention. Now, WH chord is usually associated with the where am I command, right? And so if you want a mnemonic for remembering this, just think of adding .8. It lets you ask a more specific where am I question. Where am I in terms of indentation while I'm in this code editor? Okay. I'm going to continue reading through this code in the code editor with .4 chord.
Blank.
And you're going to hear blank line. Now, this blank line is probably at the same indentation level as the line before it, since I don't hear the indentation reported. So we're just going to double check that with WH chord with .8.
No indent.
And we hear no indent, of course. I'm going to move on to the next line.
If likes BT code.
If likes BT code. Now, this is checking if that variable that I assign likes BT code is equal to true. And it's, of course, at the same indent level.
No indent.
And that likely means that if I did this correctly, the lines below it that belong to that if are indented relative to that if statement. So I'm going to do .4 again.
4 spaces. Print. BT code is fine.
And it tells me that I'm indented 4 spaces. And if I go below that,
Print. Learning Python is awesome.
it's going to say print learning Python is awesome with no indentation reporting, which likely means I'm at the same level as the line that I just read. And I'm going to double check that with WH chord 8.
4 spaces.
And of course, it says 4 spaces. Move down one more line.
No indent. Else.
Now I'm moving back to the no indent level, the parent level, and it says else. So now I know I'm on another logical block. And so you can see how this can be used to monitor indentation while you're writing code. It's kind of a convenient utility for keeping track of that. The other feature to point out about this is that it not only reports the number of spaces in the line, but if you ever use tabs, it will also tell you how many tabs and how many spaces you have. So to illustrate that, I'm just going to move to the bottom of the file here.
End of file.
I'm at the end of file, and I'm going to do a C chord to read this line.
1 tabs. 4 spaces. Print. Thanks for coding with us.
Okay, 1 tabs, 4 spaces. Thanks for coding with us, which would, of course, be incorrect because there's nothing above it. But that just illustrates how this tool can be used to keep track of not only spaces, but also tabs. And I already mentioned it before that this automatic indentation reporting while you're reading lines only happens in the code editor. That is C chord, read current line. But WH chord with .8 will actually work in any document. So even outside of BT code, it can be handy. For example, if you're writing an outline or a bulleted list, and you just want a quick way to check where you are in the structure of what you're working on, it can be a very useful tool for that as well. Now I know that indentation really starts to matter in a big way in BT code in the lesson curriculum, beginning with lesson 4 when we introduce conditionals. That's often the point where if you're a student of Python, you'll run into trouble if tracking indentation feels confusing or hard to manage. So if you started working through the BT code lessons since November and you found lesson 4 to be challenging for that reason, I really encourage you to give it another try and check out this new indentation reporting feature. I think you'll find it makes a big difference and helps everything click much more easily. You should be able to move beyond that point. Okay, so at this point, I think we want to open it up for questions, unless, David, you have anything else to add?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, and we're going to go right to Robert. Hi, Robert.
Good evening, friends. This is Robert from Arizona. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. At present, I'm not using BT Speak, but I'm very interested in this project. I may buy it in future. So I follow up all your updates. Thanks for the wonderful presentation again. I have two questions. One is for the BT Braille. You said it is converting the text into, that is LibreOffice text file into Braille equivalent. If the text file have equation in LaTeX form or some other format, will it convert? That is my first question. Second question is, it's great that you are introducing the Python editor. It will be a great help for our blind student community. I appreciate for that. Can it handle IPython notebook? Thank you.
Sure. Well, I can address the first question. You're asking if, as I understood it, you're asking if the BT Braille can also open documents in LibreOffice. Did I catch that?
Name it can convert the LaTeX or equation in any form to Nemeth code, something like that, in the Braille format file.
Oh, Nemeth code.
Oh, Nemeth code.
Gotcha.
Currently, no, probably not. We haven't dealt with that. What kind of documents would you use that for? Mathematical.
Yeah. Basically, I read some research documents when I use AI to convert to some other form. That equation most time it is converted to LaTeX format. I convert it to some other format. But just I'm curious. It's not a mandatory. You are doing a great job. If it is having the property, you can think about it in the future. That's all.
It probably could. It's probably capable of doing so. And your second question was about Python. If we have
IPython notebook. That is Jupyter files.
Oh, Jupyter files. You know, I haven't tried Jupyter files yet, but one of the things that we're planning to do is really expanding the build mode, where anytime you're working with multiple files in a code base, you want essentially a Braille first integrated development environment to handle multiple files and work with those in an efficient manner. And so that, Jupyter Notebook files would, in my mind, be part of that project and part of that development. So look for improvements to that in the future.
Thank you, friend.
Thanks, Robert. Okay, we're going to go to Michael Harris.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited about radio recording. I was one of those guys that has been bugging you guys for that.
We're happy to
thank you.
That.
And I have, of course, now that I've heard it, I have a suggestion. I don't know if it's possible in the infrastructure, but in a future update, could the ability to pause a recording be added so that if, say, there's a certain part of the show, like commercials or something that we don't want in the recording, that we could pause and then unpause before the regular show starts again. So it'll be, I know we could stop it and just but then you'd have a bunch of little files. So that's a suggestion that may or may not be possible. If not, no problem. I'm very grateful. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, thanks. I think what we are doing right now is when you pause or stop or when you pause, well, I see. Yeah, when you pause a stream, the recording stops in order to save space. But yeah, you're talking about the opposite, where you want to be able to pause and then resume recordings. And yeah, we don't have that yet, because as you say, if you stop a recording and then you press record again, you're basically creating a new file, which would mean you'd have to merge them, and it just would defeat the purpose for the application that you're talking about. But I understand what you're asking. This is, you could think of this as the 1.0
Oh, I
of
totally
radio
understand.
recordings.
I'm just putting it in there.
Yeah, yeah. To be able to pause it, I don't
I know you
see
give
any
us an inch,
reason.
we want a mile.
Well, no, no, no. That's fine. I think that's reasonable, and I think it's a reasonable request, and the development team is definitely listening to these webinars, and if it can be done without unexpected or undesirable side effects, I think it's reasonable to assume that we would eventually do something like that.
Okay.
All right, we're going to go to Joe.
Hey, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate these webinars. Second time I've been able to make it, so that's awesome. I just want to, I want to compliment you all on some of these new features, in particular the Office document integration from the Blazie side. I think that's really neat. I haven't done a ton of work in desktop mode other than other than play around with email and a little bit with Office, but I think this is really going to help in formatting and stuff like that. So I'm really happy about that. So thank you for that. The other thing that really caught my attention, other than the recording, which we've just talked about, but the other thing that really has caught my attention was in the coding program. The indentations feature is really going to help in helping me, but all of us who are coding understand the indentation process and getting less errors in our code. So again, it's fantastic, great product. It's come a long way since a couple years ago, and so thank you all so much.
Thanks so much. And I just want to circle back to a comment that Michael had just raised a few minutes ago about the ability to pause recording. If there's a way we can do it, then we will. But one of our developers just pinged us internally and said that the software that we're leveraging to do it might not allow it. So we would certainly like to be able to do it, but we may not be able to, depending on what it permits us to do with it. But Joe, thank you. I'm glad you're excited about that.
Thank you, Joe. We're going to go to Rob. Hi, Rob.
Hello, and thank you very much for taking my question from the UK, where it's nearly 1 a.m. So that must signal some sort of dedication. My questions are this. I have looked at the various bits of publicity on the web, so if I've missed it, I apologize. I'm looking for a small speech-based note taker just to be able to slip into a jacket pocket, etc. I wondered if it was possible to use the BT Speak as a keyboard for a smartphone or iPad. Obviously, you can with some small note takers, and I love the idea of the BT Speak because of all the programming, and I was a Braille and Speak user back in 1989, so I'm an old man, but yeah.
Well, it's certainly possible to do what you're describing. It's not something that we've implemented yet, but behind the scenes, there's been some discussions about using the BT Speak keyboard to control cell phone devices, and so it's something that may happen in the future, but we don't have a specific timeline in mind when we might have something like that.
Yeah, I will say we have had many requests for it. You're not the first person to ask for that. I would say two things. First, one of the things we do refer to the BT Speak as we call it a pocket computer. And I'm hearing some audio in the background. I'm not sure what that is. But we call it a pocket computer, and you certainly could put it in a jacket pocket. It really is that small. The second thing is was also a Braille and Speak user starting in 1989, so that must mean you got two old men on the call.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Sorry,
right.
My wife's listening to old time radio, David, so you'll have to forgive her if that's what you can hear. And thanks for all the work you do on the Tech VI list as well. I really, really appreciate the stuff you send out.
That's kind. Thank you. And your wife has good taste.
She does.
Yeah.
She
All right.
married me for a start. Thank you.
Right. Thanks.
All right. Well, we have a few minutes to circle back to Michael Harris.
Hey, much appreciated for another chance. Yeah, I was the gentleman from the UK kind of asked one of my questions. I want to know if the BT Braille was eventually going to support being a Braille device for mobile phones, and it sounds like that might be years out, but is maybe on the roadmap.
I wouldn't say it's years out. I would say that it's not in there right now. I would hope that it would be less than that.
Okay. Yeah. And then my final question, and I'll get out of your hair. Since currently, and I know you said this would change in future updates, since currently the radio recorder is being used, or the files are going into the internal space, which I know is somewhat limited. Is there a way, a command somewhere that you can find out how much space is available on each drive? And maybe, well, I guess since the streams record in their own formats, there's probably not a way to say, okay, for the radio recorder, you might have 6 hours of recording time available. But if not, then at least, so many gigs left. I don't know if that's able to be done, and if so, how would it be done?
Yeah, if you go to, there's a few things you could do. I mean, you could go to options O-Chord I that will give you storage information on your device. So we've had that.
Okay.
And that'll give you general storage info for the different drives that are on your BT Speak. But yeah, I think it would be a little tricky for us to be able to estimate how much time, because as you said, we just record the streams in the format that they're using.
Gotcha.
And of course, an hour of monaural, someone just reading a book is going to also be different from an hour of, stereo music.
Yep. Okay.
Depending on format and file type. Yeah.
O-Chord I. All right.
Yeah, you'll get lots of stuff. It also tells you what update you're currently using. There's a lot of info. It gives you the host name and the IP address, which can be helpful if you're wanting to, SSH into the unit or access it wirelessly. So there's a lot of, O-Chord I. Think of I for info.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And we want to close tonight by thanking everybody for attending. And we want to wish you luck and hope you enjoy the update that we plan to release tonight. So good night, everybody, and we'll see you at the next one.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this.